Welcome to a new video where we are going to talk about, once again, Nelliel, as she got buffed right after I put out my bug testing video and right before I had to go to work. So I'm a little bit late with this, but here it is, and I will also take this video as an opportunity to talk about her strengths, because in my Should You Some video I didn't go too much into detail about her kit in itself, as I thought that it wouldn't be. I didn't want to overextend the video, right? I don't want to make 30-minute videos just talking about stuff if they are not the main point of the video. But this time, her kit is the main point of the video because her kit got buffed. In fact, her kit got buffed so much that it allowed me to clear my progress here, my trial 25 on the thrust part, which is quite something, to be honest, because my thrust team is fairly fair in progress. It's fairly behind. I put so many resources into Kiske and Kenpachi. I've put a lot of resources into free-to-play characters here to get them to level 80 and to get them all kitted out in the necessary levels for skills and stuff, for the Frenzy Feast guides that I'm going to make and stuff like that. So my Gin is suffering quite a bit. He has a really bad stat distribution because of his weapon. I can show this. He gains 15% crit rate, right? And I should be able to crit cap him if I try to, but I'm not farming anything for him, right? So this is a major problem because it makes it so that his B2 will land sometimes and sometimes not, making the fights much harder than they need to be. Now, with that said, yes, I beat the tower with a B2 Gin, but on the other hand, Nell was a B0, and Nell is fairly low in power too, because her set stamps are still not really properly built. This part here is trash. Ultimate charge still feel great, by the way, with the buffs. This part here should be crit rate, and yeah, we don't talk about this stats here because I feel like I would rather have... I have enough ultimate charge rate, I would rather have attack percentage or something, right? Aim and damage has gained value, but I will go into that in a moment. And then here, clearly you want to have thrust damage, and especially for her, somewhere crit damage and crit rate, right? And also the perk that I rolled is basically useless, as basic attack is basically barely used. She's also has a A1 core and a A1 weapon. So it's fairly low investment, to be honest. For a premium character, she should be much better by the time that I have farmed her set stamp and everything else. So being able to clear the tower is quite fantastic, right? I will have the gameplay footage at the end of the video too for you to watch. Now, the main thing about her before I go into the buffs, and I want to reiterate this because it's fairly substantial. Her kit is great. Regardless of this problem here, her kit is fantastic actually. She has so much flexibility. When you talk about Eisen, his rotation, yes, he's great, right? I'm not trying to discredit Eisen here in any ways. The ability of him to do time freezes and to hot swap permanently, and his Kyoga, he's fantastic, right? But one of the things that Eisen suffers a little bit from is that he's fairly static. You kind of have to adhere to some rules in his kit or else he won't work. For Nelliel, this is only true for her battlefield skill, basically, on how you consume and build up friendship points. Apart from that, her kit is really flexible. For example, her technique builds up spiritual pressure. You don't have to press the special attack button to initiate the counter. You can just use her technique, swap out of it, because you can animation cancel it in the sense of hot swapping into it, right? And she will still continue to do the full technique. And then when you need the counter, you can still do this, so which means that you can technically do the Praise Gamuza, you can do the Lanzador Verde. You throw the thing, and while you are waiting, for example, for Gin to finish his technique, you can do the technique of her and then swap into the counter and then keep her counter for the second part when you swap back into her, right? So there's a lot of flexibility in her kit. Also the fact that she can stay in her Resurrection is fantastic. She doesn't lose much staying into the Resurrection, right? And one aspect of her ultimate, which is fairly undervalued, is the Iron Body here. This thing is amazing. And I really think I didn't do a proper job explaining on how good her kit is, because for everybody who pulled her, it's kind of tough to see the benefits of it, because when you get a new character, you're so troubled with rotations, finding a good rhythm with the character and everything else, right? And I think they adjusted the kit right enough to make all these problems not completely go away, especially not with Kenny, but with Gin definitely. It feels much more fluid, right? Also, she has an amazing kit, like flat 25% crit rate, and then you have weapons and cores which don't alter the rotations, right? They just add to how the rotations are being played. You are getting, when you play these rotations, for example, you're getting more damage if you play the rotations right, and this is fantastic. This is great. This is how core stamps and weapon stamps should be. They should not be altering or adding to your kit. They should be something like this, like Gin had, like Empachi had, right? And I really, really like this, the fact that we have a B0 tactician, which is straight up bonkers from the get-go at B0. And then each single one of the dupes, if you get dupes of her, they don't never feel bad. It's not like they are game-breakingly broken by themselves up until the B4. The B1 is great. Having this, fantastic. You have a team buffing ability in here. You have something for your ultimate to extend your ultimate, to have the counter there, for example, immediately ready, so that you can do full damage rotation with your technique and your counter. And you have, for the Ceros and Critical, you have a benefiting part here, right? And then the B2, similar to this, you not only give herself crit damage, you also give the whole team crit damage, which is an 80% crit damage. And to be honest, for most people, when you start out, if this is your B2, this is basically half of a Kiske buff, right? Because not everybody will have 200 plus crit damage on the first Kiske that they have. So no matter what kind of investment you have, everything that you get is fantastic in itself, right? And it adds to the part prior to this without taking away from her base kit. And I also think that a part that is kind of important to have, which was a little bit, it felt just weak, right, was her Verde Rush. And it takes quite some time to stack this up. So let's talk about the buffs that she got, and let's see how this changes the perspective or the point of view or the perception of the character in itself, right? When it comes to her Verde Rush, there was a problem in her weapon stamp, and this was this amplification buff here that she had, which adds up to 8 times a Verde Rush damage once you use the Ceros and Critical, right? And this part here, this being able to work, adds so much more damage. Because now you can use the battlefield skill, the Ceros and Critico, as a burst tool into Dissipation, for example. You can use it when you have certain aspects of damage amplification. You can use it into it. You can time it properly for this, right? And the damage increase is quite substantial. It also gives ailment damage more of a emphasis in the kit. It doesn't feel like a dead stat anymore. It felt like a dead stat because it didn't scale that much, because the Verde Rush just didn't scale good enough. If you compare 500% impale every 5 seconds, for example, right, and you compare it to a Verde Rush, which triggered all 2.5 seconds, there was a massive discrepancy in there. Now, apart from that, what they also did, they decreased the time that the battlefield skill, the Ceros and Critico, takes. You need 15 points to get the Ceros and Critico. And thanks to this, the cycle is 4 seconds faster, right? And those 4 seconds are really noticeable. It smoothed out the rotation so much more. And it also alleviates the problem that because of it, you don't need that much ultimate charge. You wouldn't need necessary ultimate charge in here if you can guarantee that you have some ultimate charge in the substats, for example, right? Because of the fast rotation, the amount of ultimate charge that you gain with the Cero Syncretico is amazing. All overall, really good changes for her, by the way, too. There was also an issue that some people experienced when they were using some Battlefield, consuming some Battlefield during the Resurrection, which kinda didn't work with the ultimate, right? So you consumed 3 to 4 points, but it didn't add to the ultimate. So there's an overall an increase in damage in her performance straight up. Also, the extended bonus duration of Naliel's Boundary 2 to 30 seconds alleviates the problem of having to go for ultimate charge rate, because now, like I said, you have much more leeway, right? And having this as a 100% uptime, if we are being honest, there is so much to track in the game. You have so many things to track. You have to pay attention to the boss fight and everything else from a casual perspective, right? I'm not talking here like you want to place top 1%. That's a different discussion. But from a casual perspective, there is so much to track, and you really, really don't want to track all of this stuff if you have to pay attention to boss fights. Let's be honest here. Then they had an improvement in the animation performance. Maybe if you have done anything related to the tower, right? Especially Ulquiorra, Byakuya was one of the culprit too. It always felt like your character's hitbox was always in the middle, never floating around like the body would suggest you. And now they changed this around, and you will see this also when I'm fighting Aizen, that the basic attacks and special attacks give me more leeway. They work more similar to what Gin has in his kit, making it quite good. Not as good as Gin's, but really good nonetheless. Now, would it change my opinion on summoning for her? No, because it's still a hard sell to summon for a character short before an anniversary or a festival. And this becomes double true with the next character, and even more so with the character directly before the anniversary or half year anniversary, right? So, although she got improved by quite a lot, and I personally enjoy her really, really much, she's really fun to play. Although, I can understand the concerns that she might not work well with the next character, because if the next full assault will take field time, she might take away from this. But I think the changes to her kit were good enough that she doesn't command that much battlefield time anymore. She shares it, right, quite comfortably now. And because of it, if you really enjoy the playstyle, I would still say maybe wait for the rerun. If you want to get her B0, get her B0, because at B0 she's fantastic as a compromise, right? But if you want to go for dupes, maybe you want to save and see what the half year anniversary even is like, if there even is one, right? And then you can go for her for the rerun. That's my general recommendation. And yeah, that's basically it. Great changes. Still no mention of ailment mastery being fixed, which leads me to believe that the way that it works, they're happy with it, right? I hope not, because, well, they should have called it ailment damage then, in my opinion. But alas, what do I know? Anyways, if this was useful to you, if this reinforced or if this changed your mind in any kind of way, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about the buffs? Do you think this is a healthy thing to have in a game, in the sense of should we always expect buffs when they release characters and the characters are slightly underperforming a little bit? Because I think personally I would rather have the characters come out as best possible as they can be, instead of them being in need of buffs later. I understand that they don't want to power creep the game too much, and nerfing something is always more difficult than buffing everything, because buffing is certainly more acceptable for the community, but I would rather have them take their time and test this character properly and release them in a state where we are like, oh yes, we don't need to worry about kind of buffs needed for them, right? Let me know in the comments down below how you enjoyed these buffs. Did it help clear any kind of content that you were going for? Do you even notice the buffs in any kind of ways? And if not, what kind of changes would you have liked to have for Neliel to make her more competitive in your mind? Let me know in the comments down below. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the footage and see you in the next one. Bye bye.